Hey everybody, today I want to show you a new toy I got. This is the Hexclad Grill Pan. It's designed to go on a grill, charcoal, gas, whatever you have, but it's nice that you can do vegetables a lot easier. You can do things like that. Today I'm going to do a couple different things. One of them is a pork belly secreto. That's this is a Iberico pork. It's from Spain. It's from a place called Campo Grande. It's delicious. I've had some of the cuts. I had a flank steak. I had a presa, which is from the shoulder, and I had a standard secreto, which is from the shoulder as well. This is kind of like a lean piece of the belly. So if you think bacon, this is kind of the lean part of bacon. When I was cooking this, the other Iberico pork, you see how much fat there is in it. Super well marbled. I was cooking it on my PK grill. Charcoal grill. There's a lot of flare-ups. I mean, so much fat's rendering, dropping on the coals. So I thought, what better than this pan to cook it in? A lot of people say to cook this kind of pork on a pan on the stove. So this is kind of the best of the both worlds. We'll get some of the char flavor coming through from the grill. I'm also going to do some Brussels sprouts after I do it, because there'll be a lot of good pork fat still kind of hanging around the pan. So like I said, this is a new product from Hexclad. If you're not familiar with Hexclad, it's kind of a non-stick stainless steel hybrid. You can see kind of these little raised dots and exposed parts. They kind of coat it with the non-stick coating, and then they expose all the metal. So it's supposed to be a good hybrid of non-stick pan and like a stainless pan, carbon steel pan, something along those lines. If you do cook like just in a regular Hexclad skillet, it's not 100% non-stick. It's not like you'd cook on a normal non-stick skillet. You do need to put some fat in, some butter, some oil, something like that. They say this can stand up to 900 degrees. We're going to test that out because this is blazing hot here. I'm having trouble even standing this far away from this. I might spread the coals out just a bit here as I'm talking. Let me do that. See if I can make it a little bit cooler in parts. Cause yeah, that's blazing hot. So but yeah, they say this can stand at 900 degrees. Most Teflon pans you don't want to take above 450, 500 degrees or so. They start putting off some pretty nasty gases. But we're going to put this in. I got an infrared thermometer. We're going to kind of see how hot it gets. Again, I'm not going to use any oil in the pan. I seasoned it ahead of time. You just put a little oil on it, cook it for a couple minutes on the stove. But there's so much fat in this pork belly secreto that you don't need it. It should sear a couple minutes aside and be done. You see it's already sizzling. It's already pretty warm. So yeah, we're just gonna cook it for a couple minutes aside. We'll see how it flares up. We'll see if it does flare up. I gotta pause right now and go get some tongs though, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I just had to run and grab some tongs. You can use metal utensils on this if you want. I don't know if I'd be like just scraping it with a metal spatula or something, but just hitting it with tongs here and there, that's not going to be bad. You see we got some flare-ups. We're already getting some nice color on the steak. That's good. You don't need to cook this to like 160 or so like you would a standard pork you get at the grocery store. You want this kind of 140, 145-ish. It's so thin you can't really measure it with a thermometer. We can do a little bit. But yeah, it's still 75 degrees. So we still got a ways to go. Let me get my infrared thermometer. Let me pick the steak up and we'll kind of see how hot this pan is. Again, it can go to 900 degrees. Oh, such good fat dripping down there. Yeah, we're about 600. So it's hot. It's hotter than you'd want to use a normal non-stick skillet. Now there's tons of different options for grill pans like this with the holes in them on the market. You can get them 10 bucks on Amazon, but those are cheap. It's a solid piece of equipment. It's not a cheap pan. It's something that you will have for a while. It's a high quality. I think they cost $160, and then I think right now it's on sale. But yeah, you can see. Let me move this. You can see there's quite a bit of flare-ups, quite a bit of flames going on there, but the pan is keeping most of that off the steak. It's still letting some through because we got the holes there. There are ways to cook vegetables like Brussels sprouts, asparagus on the grill. With asparagus, before I've had to like skewer it and make it like a little raft so it doesn't fall through the grates. Some grills have, like this one here, this Kudu grill. Let me show you the kind of grate it has. And this one's can be really good for cooking vegetables. It has an extruded metal grate, so asparagus and stuff is not going to fall through that as much as a normal cooking grate like this. So it's pretty easy to cook vegetables in a pan like this. There's other ways to do it. Aaron Franklin from Franklin Barbecue in Texas has a new book out talking about cooking on open fire, kind of mostly fire pit stuff. So yeah, it's still flaming up pretty good, but I think the pan is protecting it more. Let's take it off for a minute. We'll kind of let a little bit of those flames die down and give this a little bit of rest. But and this might be a good way to get a temperature on this. He says he uses like a deep fryer basket, like a commercial deep fryer basket, because they're heavy duty, and he puts it right down on the coals. So things like that are an option. Yeah, this is getting right up around 900, so we don't want to go too much hotter than that. I'm gonna actually pull it off. We'll let it cool for a bit. So you do have to be careful with how much charcoal you put in here. I've never really checked to see how hot things get right over charcoal like this. So yeah, we want to get this off, let it sit for a couple minutes, and let's just put it here for a minute to cool off. But yeah, so probably a little bit too hot on the charcoal. That's okay. We'll give that a minute to kind of cool off a little bit, and then I'll be back and we'll finish cooking up the steak, and then we'll cook some Brussels sprouts. So I'm gonna move the coals around, kind of spread them out, cool it down a bit. One of the joys of cooking with charcoal fire is it takes a while to figure out the temperature, and sometimes things get hotter than you want, sometimes they're not as hot. You just gotta kind of deal with it. So we'll let the pan cool off, we'll let the steak take a little break, and I'm gonna play around with these coals. So I'll be back in a minute. All right, we're back. We just let things cool off for just a minute. I kind of spread the coals out a little bit more. I moved the grate off, which is that's fine. You got to do that sometimes. Again, we're getting some good color on the steak, even through the pan. It's gonna have some of the smoky, good char flavor. I'm a fan of flipping meat multiple times when I'm cooking it. Let me take a temperature of the meat, see how we're doing here. Should be pretty close. Again, this is a pretty thin cut, so you can't. It's hard to get a good temperature, but it looks like we're 140-ish. There's gonna be there's some parts right here that are a little bit under. Let me see if I can get a good reading there without burning myself. Yeah, we still got some parts of it need a little bit more heat, so we'll give it a couple more flips. Again, see how hot the pan is getting. See if I can get it so it's not going through the grate. So yeah, we're looking 600-ish. 700, somewhere around there. So it's gonna get hot again, and once the steak's done, I'll move it off, cool it for a couple minutes, put the Brussels sprouts in, cook those. I just have the sprouts seasoned with salt and pepper, a little bit of olive oil on them. Again, there'll be some good pork fat on the pan, so it's not gonna need a lot of fat. But I think I'm gonna call this steak done. Okay, where'd my glove go? Okay, yeah, let me move this off. We'll give things a minute to cool down. It's always good to have multiple grills, because you can always move things off if you need to. We'll let it cool down just a minute, and then we'll come back and we'll cook some Brussels sprouts in the pan. It's kind of what the pan's designed for. It's not really intended to cook things like this pork belly steak. Vegetables are going to be the primary use of it, but it can be used for things like that. But I'll be back in a minute, and we'll cook those sprouts. Go. All right, we're back. Pan cooled off a little bit. Fire died down a bit. We're just cooking a few Brussels sprouts. It's kind of just me and my wife having lunch. The kids already ate. They don't like Brussels sprouts anyway. But yeah, it's a good way to get some color, get some flavor from the charcoal. Pick up all this nice pork fat that was kind of hanging around the pan. And you see, we already get some nice little char on the outside of these. My wife's favorite part is when like one leaf falls off and it gets extra charred. So it shouldn't take more than a couple minutes. We'll stir these around. Again, you can do broccoli, you can do asparagus, you can do onions and peppers if you're cooking sausages. You want to put some onions and peppers on that. If you want to saute onions for a burger, something like this would be great. You don't have to run into the kitchen and do it there, then come back and grill the burgers. You can just do it all in one place. So I can definitely see a lot of uses for a pan like this. I'm not a huge vegetable guy. I know some people are. Yeah, these are already getting nice, getting soft, a little bit tender. And that's kind of what you want. You don't want to overcook them so they're mush. Oops, that one popped out. I'm gonna taste one and see how they are. You don't want them too crunchy either. You want to make sure they're cooked. But yeah, this pan by Hexclad, it solves a lot of problems that you'd normally have cooking vegetables on a grill. Again, you still get heat coming up through the pan. You get smoke. If you put wood in there, you can get even more smoke. If you don't have that hot of coals, you can even like if you're doing it on a fire pit and things are kind of died down a bit, you can just put the pan right on the coals too. Nothing wrong with that. So let me taste this. This is going to be hot. Ooh, really hot. Yep. Another minute or so, get a little more color on these. While we're doing that, we got to give this pork belly steak a little try. And kind of cut a strip out of the middle. Again, this is super fatty. I probably cooked it a little bit too much. Some of the edges are a little better. But on a Iberico pork like this, you want a little bit of pink. But there's so much fat, even if you do kind of go a little more. It's still incredibly juicy. This is so good. The pork, it's raised on a diet of acorns primarily, so it kind of just forages around in acorn groves, and they move them to different pastures once all the acorns are eaten up, so it gives more acorns time to grow. But high quality pork. I'll put a link down to Campo Grande below. I'll also put one for Hexclad if you're interested in these pans. I'd love to hear anybody else's opinions on Hexclad cookware in general. I know, so I'm gonna keep eating this too. Gordon Ramsay is a huge fan. It's hard to know, does he really like it? Is he paid to do it? But he uses them in a lot of videos, and he cooks some great dishes. So, yeah, they're high quality pans. They're not cheap garbage. It's not like a cheap $20 pan you're gonna get at Walmart. They're 100, 150, 200 bucks, depending on what pan you get. This one, like I said, is 150 or so. They just came out with it, I think about a week ago. But yeah, these sprouts are looking good. We're gonna get those off. Me and my wife are gonna eat. If you want to check out some of the Hexclad stuff, I'll leave a link down below, and you can definitely go buy one yourself. They'd be great to have for the summer as you start doing more entertaining outdoors. Again, it saves you from having to run inside and cook vegetables in there, come out and cook the meat on the grill. You can just cook it all here. You could even like saute greens, saute some cabbage. I think that would be tasty. I'm gonna get all these little charred bits out because those probably have porky, fatty flavor, and like I said, my wife likes those. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions about Hexclad or anything, again, I'm gonna move this off so it doesn't get too hot. I want to see actually how hot it is right now after it's been cooking for a few minutes. Yeah, we're looking at 650. That's kind of about where you want it. Like I said earlier, it got a little too hot, got up to 900-ish. Spread your charcoal out and you'll be okay. This was like one chimney of charcoal. Earlier it was kind of concentrated, so it got a little bit too hot. Spread it out, let it cook down a bit, and you'll be fine. Temperature will be okay. So if you have any questions about Hexclad, if you have any opinions on them, let me know. I'm gonna eat one more bite of this just because it's so tasty. Thanks for watching. Okay, I'm back. I know I said I was done. I realized Iberico pork belly probably needs to be cooked a little bit more than a normal secreto or a pressa or some of the other steaks I've had from them. You can see like the middle of it in the thin part here, that's really good. You can see how much fat's in there. That's crazy right there. I don't know if you can see how well you can see that, but on the end here it's still kind of pink. That pink is what you want for other Iberico pork cuts, but apparently not this one. And one good thing about the Hexclad pan is I've already cut some of the meat up into pieces. If I were to try to put those back on the grill, just on the grate, good chance they'd fall through. With a pan, I can just dump them in, kind of cook them like you would a stir fry, just toss them around. But yeah, I want to get some of the edges closer to like the 160, 170-ish range. Give that fat a little more time to break down and render. Again, if I was doing those right on the grill, these pieces, I just have to eat them which is not the end of the world. They're still delicious. Just the texture's a little bit on the chewy side, a little bit tough. But cooking it a little more, it ends up getting tender, like that. I'm just amazed at, if you can see, like between these kind of meat fibers in here, there's a ton of fat. But yeah, this Iberico pork is excellent. And like I said, I can reheat it, or I can cook it again on the Hexclad. If you're doing a cut like flank steak, where it's kind of a little bit thinner on one end, thicker on the other end, there's times where I've had it, I pulled it off, and half of it's been good, half of it hasn't. I've already cut it up for the kids or something. I can just bring it out, put the Hexclad pan on the stove, the grill pan here, throw it in, and cook the pieces a little bit more. So another benefit of something like having something like this. Again, anything you don't want to fall through the grate, this would be a great option. You could blister peppers in here if you're making a salsa. Yeah, all kinds of stuff you could do with a pan like this. So I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, I've never been super excited about Hexclad stuff. I've always been kind of skeptical. They kind of give off a little bit of the infomercial vibe. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just once I get my hands on it and use it, opinions change. I've had that with Dal Strong knives, the knife I was using to cut the pork belly in the past. I was questionable about those, kind of skeptical. They end up being great products. So so far I'm impressed with the quality of the pan. I'm impressed with how well it's cooking, how well it stands up. It'll be interesting to see how well it cleans up, because right now it's kind of messy. Got a bunch of grilled pork fat on it. So again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer them. I love seeing comments and hearing what you guys think of some of these different products that I show you, and some of the different cuts of meat that you get to see. So let me know. Thanks for watching.